Welcome back to the Timeless Wisdom Podcast, where we uncover those age-old truths and see how they apply to our lives today.
Exactly.
And today, we're going to be diving into some really powerful verses from the Quran, specifically from Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Quran, for those who might be unfamiliar,
Right.
verse 2, and the verses that surround it.
Interesting.
We'll be exploring this whole idea of guidance and purpose,
Okay.
that blueprint for building a truly successful life.
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't start building a house without a blueprint.
You would not.
So how are we approaching the most important construction project of all our own lives?
Well, it's a great place to start. And what's so fascinating is that the Quran presents itself as that blueprint,
Okay.
offering that divine guidance for those who seek it. You know, think of it like having this all-knowing architect who can see the bigger picture and can guide us towards constructing a life that's not only successful, you know, in a worldly sense, but also deeply fulfilling.
Okay. So the Quran as this blueprint for life,
Yeah,
that's a powerful image.
it is.
But what does that actually look like? How does this divine guidance actually, show up in our lives?
That's where I think the Quran's wisdom really shines. It uses a variety of methods to guide us, but one of the most compelling ways is through story.
Oh, yes, the Quran is full of stories.
It is.
I mean, even as a kid, I was captivated by all those tales of prophets and ancient civilizations.
Of course.
But are we saying that these stories are more than just entertainment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
These stories aren't just, historical accounts,
Right.
but they're filled with these valuable lessons and insights that are so relevant to our lives today. Think about the story of Prophet Joseph, for
Yeah,
example.
the story of Prophet Yusuf. I remember that one.
Yeah.
He was betrayed by his own brothers, right?
He was betrayed, sold into slavery, falsely accused.
Wow.
Yet throughout all these trials, he remained steadfast in his faith, demonstrating incredible patience and trust in God's plan.
Right.
And ultimately, he was vindicated and elevated to a position of power.
Yeah.
And this story isn't just about some historical figure.
Right.
It's a profound exploration of these themes, like patience, forgiveness, and trusting in a higher plan, even when faced with adversity.
It's a reminder that even when things seem really bleak,
Yeah.
there's a bigger picture unfolding, and that we should focus on, maintaining our integrity and trusting God's wisdom. It's interesting how that idea of trusting in a higher power or a larger plan connects with something we see in modern psychology as well.
Right.
This focus on finding meaning and purpose in life.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
This whole concept of moving from darkness to light, which is central to the Quran's mission, has striking parallels in contemporary psychology. In Surah Ibrahim, chapter 14, verses 1 and 2, it beautifully states, Aleph, Lam, Ra. This is a book we have sent down to you so that you can bring mankind from the darkness to the light by the permission of their Lord to the path of the Almighty, the praiseworthy.
Wow. Those words really resonate.
Yeah.
Bringing mankind from darkness to light. It really highlights how the Quran acts as this
A beacon.
beacon, guiding us away from ignorance and toward a path of enlightenment and understanding. And you're right. It's like modern psychology's emphasis on mindfulness, on finding purpose and meaning. Those are essentially tools to help us break free from negative patterns and limiting beliefs, and ultimately to move towards a more fulfilling existence.
Exactly. And this idea of finding purpose and meaning is often linked to recognizing something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
And that's where reflecting on the signs in the universe around us can be so powerful.
Right. The source mentions how observing the natural world can also lead us towards the Creator.
Yes.
Have you ever looked up at the night sky and just felt completely awestruck by the vastness and complexity of it all?
I have.
It's hard not to feel a sense of wonder and connection to something greater than ourselves.
It truly is.
Right.
Contemplating the universe, the intricate workings of nature, the precision of the planets and their orbits, all of it points toward a divine design, a creator with infinite power and wisdom. The Quran encourages us to reflect on these signs, to allow them to strengthen our faith and deepen our understanding of God's majesty. It's a beautiful way to connect with our spirituality, to move beyond the distractions of daily life and find solace in the grandeur of creation.
It's like the world around us is a living, breathing testament to God's existence.
It is.
But this brings up a question for me.
Okay.
We've talked about the Quran as a blueprint, the importance of learning from stories reflecting on signs in the universe. It all sounds very insightful, but it also feels very internal.
Okay.
How do we actually take action? How do we bridge that gap between knowing what the Quran teaches and living by those teachings? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's where the rubber meets the road, isn't it?
Right.
It's like having all the ingredients for this delicious meal, but never actually cooking it.
Right.
The Quran gives us those ingredients, those moral and ethical guidelines, the spiritual practices, and the practical wisdom to really create a life of meaning and purpose.
Okay.
But we need to take those ingredients and actually put in the effort to create something tangible.
So it's about taking that blueprint, that divine guidance,
Yes.
and translating it into concrete actions.
Exactly.
Into habits, routines, choices that really reflect our understanding.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about aligning our actions with our beliefs, ensuring that our daily lives are really a manifestation of our faith and our commitment to living a life that's pleasing to God.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Yes.
Earlier, you mentioned the story of Prophet Yusuf and how he demonstrated patience and trust in God's plan.
Right.
What did that actually look like? How did he translate those qualities into action?
That's a great question. The Prophet Yusuf's story is filled with examples of how he put his faith into action.
Okay.
Even when he was unjustly imprisoned, he didn't despair.
Right.
He used his knowledge and skills to help others interpreting dreams and offering wise counsel. He maintained his integrity, refusing to compromise his values even when tempted.
Yeah.
And ultimately, his patience and trust in God were rewarded.
So it's not just about, passively accepting whatever happened,
It's not.
but about actively using our strengths, our knowledge, and our talents to navigate challenges and make a positive impact,
Exactly.
even in difficult situations.
It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences,
Right.
both in this world and in the hereafter. And this concept of intentionality is woven throughout the Quran's teaching.
Okay, so intentionality.
Yeah.
How can we cultivate that in our daily lives? What are some practical steps we can take?
One powerful way is to cultivate mindfulness in our daily lives. This is something you hear a lot about these days,
Oh, yeah.
particularly in the realm of psychology and personal development.
Yes. Mindfulness, it's a buzzword for sure.
It is.
But how does it connect with Islamic teachings?
It's fascinating how these ancient teachings intersect with modern concepts. Mindfulness at its core is about being present, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions in each moment. And this is a concept that is deeply embedded within Islamic teachings.
Okay.
For example, the 5 daily prayers, one of the pillars of Islam,
Right.
provide this structured framework for pausing throughout the day, connecting with God, and realigning our intentions.
So it's like a built-in system
It is.
for checking in with ourselves, hitting that reset button on our focus, and reminding ourselves of what truly matters.
Exactly. And it's not just about the prayers themselves, but also the actions that surround them. For instance, the ritual washing before prayer wudu is an act of purification, both physically and spiritually.
Okay.
It's about preparing ourselves to stand before God in a state of cleanliness and humility.
So even the smallest actions can be infused with intentionality and mindfulness.
They can.
That reminds me of something we often hear in personal development, the idea that success isn't just about grand gestures,
Right.
but about consistently making small, positive choices.
Absolutely. The Quran teaches us to be mindful of all our actions, to think before we speak,
Right.
to act with kindness and compassion, to be honest and truthful in our dealings, and to strive for excellence in all that we do.
It's about living with purpose,
Yes.
with awareness, and with a deep sense of responsibility for our actions.
Yeah, but that can feel overwhelming.
It can.
Where do we even begin?
Right.
A good starting point is to look at the areas of your life where you're seeking guidance or feeling a lack of purpose.
Okay.
Perhaps it's in your relationships, your career, your health, or your spiritual connection.
So identifying a specific area where we want to make a change,
Right.
where we're seeking that divine guidance we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And then ask yourself, what does the Quran teach about this area of life? What principles or stories resonate with me? How can I apply those teachings to my current situation?
It's about bringing the Quran's wisdom down from the abstract and into the concrete reality of our lives.
It is.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes it feel much more practical and actionable.
It is practical.
Yeah.
And remember, the Quran isn't just about individual growth. It also emphasizes the importance of community, of compassion, and of social responsibility.
So it's not just about improving our own lives, but about contributing to the well-being of others.
Precisely, the Quran encourages us to be mindful of the needs of others, to extend a helping hand to those in need, and to strive for justice and equality in our societies.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness.
Yes.
Understanding that our actions impact others and striving to create a more just and compassionate world.
Exactly.
That brings up a question for me.
Okay.
How do we balance our own personal growth with our responsibility to the community? Do those two things ever come into conflict?
That's a great question, and one that many people grapple with. I think the beauty of the Quran's teachings is that they emphasize both personal growth and social responsibility as, these interconnected aspects of a fulfilling life.
So it's not an either-or situation.
Yeah, it's not
like we have to choose between focusing on ourselves or focusing on others.
Exactly. In fact, the Quran teaches that our personal growth is often intertwined with our service to others.
Okay.
When we strive to be better versions of ourselves, when we cultivate qualities like compassion, generosity, and patience, it naturally spills over into our interactions with others and our contributions to society.
So it's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
We need to nurture our own spiritual and emotional well-being so that we have something to give to others.
Precisely. And just as our personal growth can benefit others, our acts of service can also contribute to our own growth.
Okay.
When we help those in need, when we stand up for justice, when we use our talents and resources to make a positive impact, it cultivates a sense of purpose and meaning in our own lives.
So it's like a beautiful cycle.
It is.
Personal growth fuels our ability to serve others, and serving others fuels our personal growth.
Yes.
It's about recognizing that we are all part of a larger whole, a community, and that our individual well-being is connected to the well-being of those around us.
Exactly.
This reminds me of something we talked about earlier, the idea of the Quran as a blueprint.
Right.
It's not just a blueprint for building our own individual lives, but also for building a better society.
That's a powerful insight. And just like a blueprint, the Quran provides us with a framework, a set of principles and guidelines that we can use to construct a society that is just compassionate and equitable.
But building a better society sounds like a daunting task. It can feel overwhelming to think about where to even begin.
It is a big task, but remember, even the most magnificent structures are built brick by brick.
Okay.
Every act of kindness, every effort to promote justice, every step we take to make the world a better place contributes to that larger vision.
So it's about focusing on what we can do within our own spheres of influence.
Exactly.
It's about those small, consistent actions we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It could be something as simple as smiling at a stranger, donating to a worthy cause, or speaking out against injustice.
Right.
It's about recognizing that every action, no matter how small, has the potential to create a ripple effect.
It's like that quote, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Yes, and the Quran encourages us to be those agents of change, to embody the values of justice, compassion, and service in our daily lives, and to inspire others to do the same.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
I think what I'm taking away from this is that living a life guided by the Quran isn't just about adhering to a set of rules or rituals. It's about cultivating a way of being.
Yes.
A way of thinking, feeling, and acting that is aligned with a higher purpose.
Beautifully put. It's about integrating the Quran's wisdom into every aspect of our lives, our personal growth, our relationships, our work, and our contributions to the community.
It's about recognizing that our lives have a deeper meaning and that we have the power to make a positive impact on the world around us. And as we wrap up, I want to remind everyone about our amazing sponsor for this episode, The Broke Entrepreneur.
Yes, the Broke Entrepreneur YouTube channel is a fantastic resource for anyone looking to apply timeless wisdom to modern challenges, especially in the realm of personal development. They offer practical tips, inspiring stories, and actionable advice to help you achieve your goals and build a successful life.
Definitely check them out. And on that note, we'll leave you with this powerful message. The Quran's wisdom is timeless. Apply it today. Thanks for joining us on the Timeless Wisdom Podcast, and we'll see you next time.